This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Well, if I was with you at the next pay-per-view, I would say, Bruce, how do you do that? Because it's Unforgiven and it's announced that it's going to be an Inferno match. So some of our younger listeners may not remember this concept. Tell everybody what a Inferno match is and how this concept was first pitched, because it's maybe one of the crazier ideas in wrestling history.
Well, good Lord, Kane's entire existence is based in fire. And the simple fact that he was maimed as a child in this horrible fire that was allegedly set by his big brother, The Undertaker, for God's sakes. So what better way to make his big brother pay for those sins than to actually scar his brother with the very flames that he had been scarred with? And when you're talking about different concepts and different matches and what can you do and things that had never been done before, you come up with what if
right?
The ring were surrounded by fire. You have cage matches. You have Hell in Cells. You can have goddamn Indian, whatever the hell, Punjabi prisons.
Yeah.
You can have everything under the sun. But man, an Inferno match, entire ring surrounded by a wall of flames. And the only way to win this match is to set your opponent on fire. Never been done.
Whose idea was it, bud?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Russo. Is it yours?
You think it's Russo's?
I just assumed.
Okay.
It was yours?
Might have been.
And so did you ever ask anybody, hey, how do we pull this off? Or did you just sort of do your Royal Rumble 98 thing and say, like in the movies, I like big fire?
No, I look, and I think, I don't know that necessarily the Inferno match and the whole set your opponent on fire, that part, the idea stemmed from, what do you do? What if you surrounded the ring in fire? Okay. It was not my idea to set your opponent on fire. That kind of grew from there. My idea was basically like an old traditional cage match. No one in, no one out. Paul Bearer's not going to be able to interfere. Kane's not going to be able to run. You got to finish it in the ring. And one of the Vinces, I think, was one that came back with, well, that's how you win the match. You got to set your opponent on fire. Then the question comes up, well, then how the fuck do you do that? Surrounding the ring in fire, that's not really, like, how do you do that? That's easy to do. Easy, I tell you, easy. Yeah, it's not that easy. But
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you run this past the talent at all? Or do they just show up and one day it's like, oh, hey, yeah, you're wrestling in a fire match at the pay-per-view. See you there.
No, they knew.
Is the obvious question, what's a fire match or an Inferno match?
What's a wall of flame on all four sides of the ring?
And how do I win?
Keeps you inside.
When do you tell them, all right, now, remember how last week we said it was going to be like, nobody in, nobody out? Well, been talking to Caesar. He'd like to see us set you on fire.
Yeah, I think there was some point that it was kind of, yeah. They were like, okay, how the fuck do we do that? And again, to me, we killed the mystique of the match, my opinion, by the way we did it, but we had to do it that way to set someone on fire safely. Is the guys got out. They got over the flames and they were outside and able to work outside of the ring. So that to me kind of killed the whole idea of the wall of flames surrounding the ring. And, again, you had to do that so that you could make sure that you set someone on fire safely.
It's an interesting point of view.
Isn't it though? I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Let's talk about how we get there. There's a big show called Mayhem in Manchester over in England. That's a sellout, 18,514 fans. There's $158,000 gross, and it's the second biggest gross you guys have had over there since SummerSlam 92. And Taker's gear isn't there. So he and Kane only do 3.5 minutes before Taker pins Kane. We assume the airline lost his luggage.
That would be correct.
Yeah. I mean, how do you wrestle? I mean, how are you the Undertaker at this point? Sort of pre-biker gimmick without gear. This is worst case scenario, huh?
Not a good scenario, but who the hell checks their gear?
Oh, look at you calling Mr. Calloway out.
Well, damn it. Who checks their gear?
When you were Brother Love, you didn't check the suit?
Oh, hell no.
Okay. So all that
you don't check your gear.
All that was.
Did I ever lose my luggage in any something to wrestle with shows?
No.
Did I ever show up without my gear?
Well, in fairness, that was mom jeans, a t-shirt, and a blazer from 97.
Did I ever show up without it?
No. Remember that dust?
Answer the question.
No, you were always prepared.
No, I didn't.
So you're saying you're twice the professional Undertaker was? Just say it in a loud, clear voice.
No, what I'm saying is that the airlines were less than professional by losing his shit.
Yeah, there you go. That's a way. I haven't seen somebody backpedal that fast since the Combine. So on the way here, Kane and the Undertaker.
Combine?
It's a football.
Is that like one of the windmill things?
Yes, it makes grain. Kane and the Undertaker are going to fight in a graveyard, and then Kane's going to light their parents' caskets on fire. The WWF finally overtakes WCW in the ratings war, and you break the 83-week streak. How satisfying is this for you, for Vince? Hell, for Undertaker. You guys have been there forever and ever, and Nitro has been on quite a tear. When you finally win, is it high fives all around, or do you even take a moment to acknowledge it because it's on to next week?
It's on to next week, but at the same time, yeah, you're happy, you're celebrating. Fuck yeah. Little pissant Eric Bischoff down there fucking had his little 23-week run or whatever it was.
Listen to you. Let's go to the Inferno match. Unforgiven, Charlotte, North Kakalaki. It's a fire match, and it's not the main event. It goes 15 minutes and 57 seconds. It's on 6th. Meltzer would say, again, with the exception of one spectacular dive out of the ring by Undertaker, this wasn't much of a wrestling match, but it was an interesting spectacle to watch of two guys not doing much of anything in a ring surrounded by flames. And that, I guess, is what you had to be fearful of going in, right? It's not like...
Well, nobody knew how hot it was actually going to be.
Let me ask, I'm not saying this to be funny. Had you ever seen any footage, like VHSs or whatever, of what Onita was doing over in FMW when he would like douse the ropes in fire and shit like that? Because those were always a train wreck.
Yeah, they were horrible. That's not, and we weren't interested in doing that.
But this was different. How?
Because we controlled the flames. No, dude, they just wrapped the ropes and set them on fire.
I'm with you, but the point is,
there's nothing safe about what they did.
Now you can't.
We controlled everything,
but you still can't really run the ropes or do a regular wrestling match, right?
Yes, you could.
Okay.
No, you definitely could.
Is it true that there's some sort of story involving Kane and Paul Bearer? They were supposed to get there the night before to do a walkthrough, but they got a car service or something like that. What was that story?
The car went the wrong way.
What? Tell me like I'm an 8th grader.
So we put them on early in whatever town we were in the night before,
right? And
sent a car service to pick them up and bring them to North Kakalaki. Had everything set up, and they're driving along. The guy rolls the window down and says, "Hey guys, I'm sorry. Are we going to North Carolina?" And it was like, "Yeah," and the guy had gone like about 70 miles the other way. So we had to backtrack another 70 miles. So, it was about 2 hours late. because now they had to come back to the point that they were and then go to the building. So yeah, it was a lot of fun waiting on them.
It's interesting too, because the day before you guys were in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and you're only going to Charlotte, which I realize if you're North Carolina challenged, you may not know how far away that is, but it's only like what, 2.5 hours. But if you head the wrong direction, now it's a lot further.
Yeah.
So let's talk about
a building full of people waiting on you.
There is the big special effect where they're going to wrap up Kane's arm with some sort of protective sleeve under the ring while the crowd's distracted with the Undertaker brawling with Paul Bearer. And then, of course, Kane's ready for the stunt. Undertaker kicks Kane into the flames. He runs to the back. He's got an arm lit on fire. Meltzer would say kind of ECW style, and there was a lot of bad wrestling. But the well set up big spots of the match gave this or make the match more memorable. Wait a
minute. Meltzer said ECW was bad wrestling?
Yeah, he was pretty consistent about that.
Oh, wow.
You all agree on a lot of stuff. You just don't want to acknowledge it.
No, we don't agree on much of anything.
Well, you both like me and you both hated ECW. That's two things.
Who said I liked you?
Oh, that's fair.
Okay. ECW, I'll give you.
The next day,
he liked me?
Here comes, the story. The next day on Raw, Jerry Lawler and Paul Bearer having a conversation, and Paul Bearer says when he was 19, he was a virgin stud, and the Undertaker's mom was scantily clad, and she seduced him on the kitchen floor. Is this from your sick and twisted mind? And could you sort of lay the creative out to Bill Moody without laughing at the time?
I think I laughed the entire time.
And do you start with, now what if
this story has so many layers to it.
Now, here's my question though. Were you on some of that wacky tobacco with Briscoe when you thought of this and you started laughing and said, what if?
Okay. First of all, you've got to picture Paul Bearer as a virgin stud.
Yeah, well, yes.
In the funeral home.
Yes.
With Taker's mama.
Correct.
Who took advantage of him.
Right.
Because he was a virgin stud.
Well.
Very studly, yet virgin-esque.
Which is complicated.
And then I started diddling Taker's mama. She was diddling my little tinky thing. Yeah. She took Paul Bearer's virginity.
My goodness.
And guess what came of that? Do you know? Kane! Oh, yes! Kane! He's my boy!
Who do you pitch on this idea first?
I'm pretty sure I pitched Vince first.
God damn, I love it. That's great shit, Bruce. Is that pretty much it?
Again, it gave more layers to the story. There were a lot of unanswered questions.
Of course, he's his daddy.
Taker's mom and dad were dead in this horrible fire that he set. And he thought he killed his brother. What if his brother was only his half-brother? Because that funeral director that was awful studly that Taker could remember as a young child had actually diddled his mama.
Chat me up. What did it sound like? What did Vince say when he pitched this idea?
He just fucking loved it. It was like, God damn. And then it grew from there because now everybody starts putting their 2 cents in and everything else. And, yeah. What if we picked up a conversation?
Just hypothetically.
Supposed to hear.
Your old great close personal friend who was screwed over by the unprofessional airlines, Mr. Mark Calloway. Does he come to you and say, really, Bruce? You got Paul Bearer banging my mama now?
Yeah, but I do think he told his actual mother that it was my idea.
Yeah. Hey, Mama, just so you know.
I think she wanted to strangle me.
Yeah.
She's such a sweet lady, though. I felt like
Did you call and apologize? Like, Mrs. Taker, I'm very sorry.
Well, no, because Mrs. Taker was actually diddling Paul Bearer. Now, Mrs. Calloway, that's much respect and love for her.
Okay.
But Mrs. Taker, apparently, she was playing fast and loose that Studley Paul Bearer.
Got it.
Virgin-esque.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.